Vanakkam. Welcome back to our course on SAP Materials Management. In this session, we will be discussing why should we build a business case? Because whenever we start learning anything, we should have some examples to refer so that whatever the learning we do, we can apply from that example and then use them in the right way. And also we can check whatever we want to learn, all those things that are covered. So we are going to create a small business case, and how based on the business case, what are the master data we are going to create? Those things we'll discuss in this session. This is a proposal from my side. You can define your business case accordingly and then start use the business case when you are practicing SAP. That is the purpose here. Before going into the session, let us see what are the answers for the quiz we addressed in the last session. So list out different views maintained in Metal Master. I asked you to give at least 5 views. See, there are different views are there, like basic views, sales views, purchasing views, MRP views, work scheduling, forecasting, plant storage location, warehouse management, quality, PPDS, accounting, costing. See, just mentioning the name of the views is not important. You should also understand what is the purpose of each view and what are some key parameters in each view. Also from point of view, we told some views are very important, like purchasing view, MRP views, the basic views, and the accounting views also, right? So you should be able to understand the specific to module views, what are the key parameters, not all the parameters which are there. And also for other views also, for example, you should know some key parameters in sales, some key parameters in work scheduling, if it is a production item. Like that, no, you should know some idea. That's important, especially when you are going for some interview. So they may be asking these kind of points. Or if, even if you are a user or a consultant, having an idea of master data fields are very, very important. And then we ask for examples for some organization dependent parameter and independent parameters in Metal Master. So independent parameters are like a basic unit of measure, gross weight, net weight, product hierarchy, drawing. See, all these things are not going to change whether it is in one plant or other plant, in one company code or other company code. If it is defined in one client, it is going to be the same across all the companies and all the plants. That is what is independent. Next is the dependent. Dependent means it depends on each plant or each company, the details will change. For example, planning parameters. One metal you may be buying in this plant, but you may be producing the same metal in another plant. For in sales also, you may be using some tax in a company, there may be another tax in another company. Like purchasing parameter, which is may having a different lead time. Forecasting data, the consumption in that particular plant or company may be different consumption, so that different forecast may come. All these things are dependent parameters. Vendor master and customer master are combined and treated as one master. What is the name of the master in S4HANA? That is called business partner. In SAP S4HANA, business partner has become the leading object, and it is a single point of data to maintain both the supplier and customer as the same data. Because of this, there is a harmonization among various business functions within the company. A business partner, it may be a person or it may be a group of people or it may be organization which is having a supplier role or the customer role. Also, we can create the business partner with different business partner roles, each business partner. Because one person maybe you may be raising invoice to them, sometimes you may be sending delivery to them, so that we can have different kind of things, the details we can maintain. So the same business partner can be used for different applications. Also, we saw what are the advantages of S4HANA, the business partner in S4HANA versus vendors and customers in ECC in the previous session. Please go through them, because this is one of the key points which has to be understood from user point of view, consultant point of view, and also from interview point of view. A metal can have more than one purchase info record, true or false? Yes, one metal can have more than one info record. For example, If you are buying one metal from two suppliers, then it will have two info records, right? So that case, we need to have more than one info record. Production version is mandatory in S4HANA, true or false? Production version is mandatory in S4HANA for manufacturing, discrete manufacturing in S4HANA. In ECC for discrete manufacturing, it was not necessary. But in S4HANA, it is mandatory. For purchasing, that is metal management function, it is also required to have production version to explore the BOM, because during subcontracting, we have to give one metal and get the another metal. So we are maintaining subcontracting. For subcontracting, we have to explore BOM, we need to have production version. So we need to have a production version which is having the link between the metal and BOM. There is no need to connect the routing here. Only the BOM has to be connected. So all these things we'll discuss later now. Yes. After having an introduction to what is ERP, SAP, the basic navigation to SAP, introduction to metal management, then the fundamentals like organization structure, what are the various master data. Now we are going to see the business case before we are going to the detailed discussion on various master data. For our business case, let us take a company. So let us give the name for the company like Sathiya Gearmotor Manufacturing Company. So because I cannot start one manufacturing company on my own, at least for this purpose, let me have it. Okay. So this company, SGMC, we call it as. So it is going to design, manufacture, and market the gear motors in India and also the export. So what are the products they are producing? Like a helical gear motors, planetary gear motors, worm shaft gear motor, like a different kind of gear motors. And they are having a sales and distribution, like a domestic sales 40%, distributor sales 45%, export 15%. This is what they are selling. And putting together the domestic, the distribution of, in the domestic sales for OEM and also distribution. So their market position is, their competitor one is with 24% market share is number one. Competitor two is with 22% market share, number two. The SGMC is at market three. Stage 3, that is right. Then competitor 3 with 18% market share, number 4. Competitor 4 is at number 5. Others are 7%. Here you can see the gap between competitor 2 and SGMC is 3%. But the gap between SGMC competitor 3 is only 1%. This means they may also become, so it is a threat. So SGMC is really in a threat now. Right? That is what is the current situation here. Meanwhile, let us understand the blueprint. What is blueprint? Blueprint is how the organization is structured, manufacturing units and other things. This SGMC is arranged in such a way that they have one unit in Mumbai to manufacture components. The same unit also assemble gear motors, and they supply to the north and western part of India. They have a second unit in Chennai where they assemble the gear motors and supply to the southern part of India. They have one more unit in Kolkata which has assembly facility to feed to the eastern market. So they have a good facility across India to supply the products. And how they are sourcing the materials? For domestic direct sourcing, they have 40%, which is distributed across India, and domestic subcontracting 45%, import 15%. So they have a direct purchase, they have subcontracting, they have import process also. Having such a excellent blueprint and also having a sourcing, 85% of the things they are able to source in India, they are targeting to achieve number one position in 2025. So, and also they should reach at least 30% market share to achieve this. Right? Today they are with less than 25%. They have to reach 30%. It's very difficult. Which means they have to have the challenges like growing from 19% to 30%. In this period, the competitors also will grow, right? They will not keep quiet. They also will grow. But overall gear motor is growing at 10%. This means SGMC should grow at least 40% every year. That is, the growth is now 40%, which means huge growth they have to achieve. If they have to achieve huge growth, means there should be a proper system to support, right? And it's not just only system can support. So there are some targets, there are some business needs they have to address. SGMC identified some areas for improvements, like they should do some new product development after doing a proper market research. With this new product development, they should do the customer segmentation and develop a solution-based products. And they should improve their on-time delivery based on the customer requested date from 80% to 95%. Also, they should reduce the lead time reduction by half. And also, they should improve the skills of the people. So this means a new product development means they should have a lot of details to collect from customers. And they should develop the solution basis that they have to spend time on this product designing. Improving on-time delivery means they should have right materials and right time and right product, right places, and also develop the skills of these people. This means the routine activity should be happening properly and efficiently. So considering these things, what should they do? They have to improve in almost all the areas like HR, research, development, marketing, all these areas. From supply chain side, they should work out to meet the targets, like they have to improve the on-time delivery, that is keeping the right inventory. They have to reduce the lead time, which where they have to maintain the right mix, and they should also improve the cash flow so that they can support the organization with the available cash, which means they have to keep only required inventory. So to do all these things, there should be a proper process, there should be a proper coordination, there should be efficient and effective planning process. So to meet all these things, organization has decided, let us go for SAP. Right? They decided to go for SAP. So implementing SAP, organization do not take the decision just like that. Please understand. Any company, right? It's not only SAP, any other ERP also. Depends on the size of the organization. They will go for other ERP or local ERP or something else. It is having some good turnover and also having a very good growth optimism in the next 5 years, 10 years. They look for this kind of a topmost ERPs like SAP. Now they are implemented, so they have to they have to have a very strong system. They have to have a strong visibility of information. They should have the things to be handled efficiently, which means that they have to go for a proper system. So those kind of people will define this kind of they will define and identify the ERP like SAP to implement. To implement SAP, one of the first steps, right, is one is that defining the objectives. What should the objective from SAP? That is one point they should achieve. Whatever we define, the on-time delivery improvement from 80 to 95%, all those things, right? That are the objectives they define. The next point is that another important point is they have to understand the current processes and define them properly. And also they should be able to reprocess, re-engineering these processes to improve the productivity. That's what they have to do. That's a very important activity which has to be done before we start implementing SAP. Let us understand how this supply chain organization for this SGMC is defined. So they have raw material manufacturers. So this is the manufacturing unit we discussed, and the components are produced, it is going to the assembly units, and they produce the finished products. This is the flow. Now we know that which are the raw materials, where it is getting manufactured, and how they are becoming components and where the assemblies are. So now why should we see this kind of structure? We have to see this structure that whether we need to have these in between units, whether we need to have stock in between places, and how the metal will be flowing, where we should keep the inventory. To understand these things, the supply chain organization setup has to be there, and also to design the supply chain organization with respect to where the warehouse has to come, where transportation has to be there, and how much inventory has to keep, all those things. Because these are all the things will be the input to define various parameters in SAP. This is the order management process. Like order management means there is a purchase order coming from customer that is entered as a sales order into SAP. It is converted into the planned order through MRP. Then it is converted to production orders. Then the production order, we get the stock. Then the delivery is created, and then it is invoiced and it is going to the customer. This is the order management process. Again, we need to define what is that order, when are we getting it, and how we have to put into system, how fast it has to be there, and the planned order to production order, what kind of frequency it has to be done. If the delivery and the invoice has to be done, so who is responsible, what are the things we have to bring in there, all those things we define as the order management process. Here we see the material flow. Material flow starts from the planning process, that MRP and MPS. Based on MRP and MPS, we get purchase requisition, which is converted into purchase order. Then goods are received, and then quality inspection is done, and then stock is either taken to the stock or returned to the supplier. Meanwhile, when a result of MRP is to produce the products also, so based on the stock we received from suppliers, we produce the products. They are converted into finished products, depending on the requirement, either component or finished product, and then they're issued for delivery. They are supplied. Again, here also we see that, right? Like where the stock is kept, how much stock has to be kept, what kind of decisions have to be taken, right? How many orders have to be handled, and where the inventory has to be kept. All those things we have to understand from this material flow. The planning process will take care of that, how the planning has to happen. Like the planning, what are the inputs? One is the demand and sales orders. Based on BOM and routing, the details will be given whether to purchase a metal or produce a material. When the metal is planned and purchase is coming to the raw material stock, production is done, FG stock is coming, it is delivered, and PG. See, if you see all these processes interlink, whether we talk it as material flow, whether we talk it as a planning process, whether it is talking as the procurement flow, all these things are linked one to one. That is what I want to show you those things here. That is why I defined all these things different names. But ultimately, if you see, they are going from the demand, then planning, purchasing, procurement to the production, coming to the stock. And we have to understand that processes defined. So now I have not defined here things like a purchase department, production department, or like that. We are not talking about departments here. We are talking about processes. So that is what business processes have to be defined with the proper responsibility who has to do what. When we define these processes properly, then we can link them into SAP in the right way. Right? That is what the activities have to be done before we start to implement SAP. While implementing SAP, understanding product structure is also important, because every organization is having their own product. If you go for a spares manufacturing company, they will have one raw material, then one finished product. That's it. They give one raw material inside, they do some process, get the output. But if you go to some sub-assembly company, they put some 10-15 components, they get one product. If you go to some little bigger equipment company, they have some 100 components inside, they get one product. And also there may be some 2-3 stages. And if you go to like a big equipment manufacturer, they may have some 500-600 components. And here 100 components are assembled in one place, it is coming. Another 50 components are assembled in one place, is coming. Another 20 components are assembled in one place, is coming. Then one big component is processed in one place, is coming. Like this, different processes with the different stages. There may be some 5, 6, or 8, 10 levels of bill of material will be there. And when you're going for some kind of automobile companies, there will be different kind of materials which have to come in the right place and right time. Like if you go for textile companies, there will be different kind of processes like weaving, processing, made up, all those kind of process will be there. So understanding the product structure is very, very important. For our training purpose, I'm taking a very simple example of the product, because we are taking the gear motor company as an example. So gear motor, to produce a gear motor, we need to have a gearbox and motor, where we need to have some components to combine this. And here motor is purchased, components also purchased. Then the gearbox, to produce a gearbox, we need to have input subassembly, output subassembly, and then we need to have some purchase components to combine these to put the gearbox. And these input and output components, we are getting them, which may be direct purchase or subcontracting process. So this is the product structure. To have more clarity, let us see how it is linked. So here we see the product like SGMC GM1001, which is a helical gear motor, which is treated as a finished product, finished goods. To produce these finished goods, we need to have another finished goods, which may be gearbox, one more finished goods, which is a motor. Then we have different components. And then to produce this finished good, gearbox, that is in-house production, but the motor finished good is purchased outside. Though it is a finished good, we may purchase from outside, but the gearbox is a finished good we may produce inside. To produce that gearbox inside, we need to have two semi-finished goods. One is the inline helical input, another is the inline helical output, plus 3 components. To produce this inline helical input, the semi-finished good, we need to have some 5 components. Similarly, produce this output component, we need to have other components. See the BOM structure, how is it coming? Right, this is how you have to define the BOM. You have to understand this BOM first. So whenever you go for any company, first you need to understand what is the company doing, how the product BOM structure is defined. This clarity has to be there, whether you are a procurement person or production person. Right? This is very important. Considering the product structure, I just propose these are the materials we have to create for our training purpose. Okay, these are all the materials we have to create for our training purpose. I will also show that now where and all this BOM is coming, all these things are linked. Whenever it is coming, I show you. But now by seeing that the previous structure, the picture I shown, you can also make the link of these things and start to create them. Right? Like how to create BOM, how to create those things. We'll be discussing them one by one at the coming points. And if you want to do something related to, because when you run MRP for production and other things, you have to create some routing, those kind of things. Then you have to refer the PP video, whatever we publish in the PP, those things you have to refer. But now for the purpose, these are the data, and maybe the discussions will be covering these points, right? And if you follow these things, probably this is okay. But if you are stuck anywhere like that, maybe you can put in your YouTube channel that where you get stuck. I will tell you where you have to refer or what you should do. In this session, we discussed what are the factors which are driving companies to implement SAP. Also, we understood various business processes and the importance of exploring product structure and what is the product structure we are going to use for our course. And we also see that the business case, like defining the metal code, those things we saw that. Let us come to the quiz session. Why should we create a business case for SAP learning? Define current business processes is one of the key steps in implementing SAP. Means you have to define the current business processes to start SAP implementation. Is it true or false? What could be the key considerations to implement ERP like SAP? Because it is a big investment, right? What are the key points they have to consider before we start implementing? After understanding how to build a business case to learn and practice, we will discuss in detail about Material Master. To start with, we will see overview of Material Master in the next session. Please give your feedback to improve the flow and contents. Please refer to your friends and colleagues to subscribe to the channel. And if you have any doubts, please put them into our channel comments. And also, if you want to have some specific queries, you can address to the email given below. Thank you. See you in the next session. Bye. Take care.